Things are not looking good for Mortal Kombat 1, and they are going to make things a lot worse as they recently revealed that in their upcoming DLC or expansion or whatever they're calling it, they have gender swapped both Cyrax and Sektor. Before we get to this, I'd like to ask you please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. I wrote this up over at thatparkplace.com. And as noted on the Mortal Kombat website, the Khaos Reigns DLC or expansion, quote, features reimagined stories and gameplay for classic combatants, Noob, Saibot, Cyrax, and Sektor, while also welcoming new faces to the Mortal Kombat universe, Ghostface, T-1000, and Conan the Barbarian. In a post to YouTube on August 15th, the official Mortal Kombat channel revealed that both Cyrax and Sektor have been gender swapped in the new timeline that the game introduces. If you want to watch the trailer, I will have the link to this article in the description below. But we do have this confirmation here that Cyrax is indeed a woman now in this new timeline. This is how these companies try and justify their gender swaps. Oh, it's just a new timeline. Oh, it's just a what if. Oh, it's just a multiverse. And then at the end of the day, that is what the main character eventually becomes. You see this prominently with Nick Fury and with Miles Morales. Obviously, Miles Morales was in the Ultimate Universe, and then what ends up happening, that Ultimate Universe gets destroyed, and now he's in the main universe, similar to Nick Fury in Marvel Comics as well. I think those are the two most prominent examples. Would not be surprised if this is what they are planning on pulling with Mortal Kombat. Anyways, they go on and have this post here, specifically talking about Cyrax, indicating that the character is now a woman, saying her unorthodox methods have earned her the watchful eye of the Lin Kuei. I'm not sure how to say that. Cyrax joins Mortal Kombat 1 when Khaos Reigns launches September 24. And then there's a whole biographical information here. If you want to read that, you can. I'll have the link in the description below. So if you're unfamiliar with Cyrax, the character was originally introduced as a cyborg in Mortal Kombat 3. The character was then depicted as an Asian male in the animated series Mortal Kombat Defenders of the Realm. In 2011's Mortal Kombat video game, the character was depicted as an African male. You can see a screenshot there, him standing next to Raiden. So like I said, I don't think this is going to be winning them any fans, which they need. And they need sales. And I don't think they're going to be getting a lot of sales either. This game is vastly, vastly underperforming Mortal Kombat 11. We just got a new report from Event Hubs that claims the game is pacing well behind Mortal Kombat 11. The outlet notes that Warner Brothers Games and NetherRealm Studios, which is the developer, revealed the game had sold 4 million copies, just 4 million copies since it released in September 2023. That is very, very bad. In fact, it looks like it's only sold a little over 1 million copies since the beginning of November, when Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav said during the company's 2023 Q3 earnings call, Mortal Kombat 1 has sold nearly 3 million copies since its launch in mid-September. So that is really bad. So he's saying this like on November 8th when that Q3 call was. And now we're finding out almost a year later, because we're in the middle of August, September is just the next month, that this game has only sold about 4 million copies in a year. So Mortal Kombat 11 came out in 2019. We saw a report from Collider in 2021 that the game had sold 12 million copies just over, I think it was like about 2 years after it released. And then in 2022, NetherRealm revealed in a press release that it had sold 15 million units 2 years after release. I think the game came out 2020. I have to double check on that. Double check my dates there. But pacing way behind Mortal Kombat 11, significantly behind. There's absolutely no way it is on pace for 12 million copies, even in 2 years, if it's only done 4 million in about a year. And it's only done 1 million since November. That's awful. 1 million in what? Like, we're 8 months. We're almost at the end of August now. So yeah, 8 months. Only 1 million units in 8 months. This is Alan Wake 2 sales levels is what we're looking at here almost, I feel like. This is how bad this is. This is very, very bad. In fact, you can see looking here Over on Steam DB, Mortal Kombat 1, the top chart there, only 2,086 people in the last 24 hours as peak concurrent. Mortal Kombat 11, 2,025. And when I actually took this screenshot, there were more people playing Mortal Kombat 11 than Mortal Kombat 1, 1702 compared to 1608. So that's interesting. You're actually seeing Mortal Kombat 11 has almost as many players playing the game as Mortal Kombat 1. That is really, really bad. And remember, NetherRealm just shut down their entire mobile division last month. So it's not looking good. There are gamers that believe that Sweet Baby Inc. was involved in this gender swap of Cyrax and Sektor for the Khaos Reigns DLC. Minimal Effort Live does a really good breakdown of that, shares his thoughts. I don't think that they are involved in this. It's possible that they are. We do know that Sweet Baby Inc. lists Warner Brothers games as one of their clients, but that could obviously just be Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, which we know they did indeed work on. They are listed in the credits. I went through the credits when I was researching this article. They are not listed in the credits for the game when it originally released. Now, that's not to say that they did not work on Khaos Reigns. It's definitely possible that happened. However, there is a company called Lionbridge Games that is listed in the original game's credits, albeit much of their work appears to be regarding the game's various translations into other languages. So it looks like they are mainly just they did translation. That's what it looks like their work on the game was. However, if you look at this company's website, they do indeed have very similar values to Sweet Baby Inc. Their website says this: the nature of our work connecting our customers to global communities is at the heart of our commitment to diversity. At Lionbridge, we actively seek out different points of view because we know it helps us deliver the best for our customers. We intentionally foster an environment where people of every race, ethnicity, social background, religion, gender, age, sexual orientation, and ability are welcomed and feel valued. We are committed to providing a culture where everyone can thrive and grow, and to building an ever more diverse and inclusive global team that's empowered to be creative, to approach the challenges unconventionally, and to change lives through human connection. Furthermore, the company claims its values include inclusivity, globalism, community, accountability, and communication. For inclusivity, it states this: cultivating an inclusive culture is central to our philosophy. We implement thoughtful policies designed to ensure an equitable environment for all. In its community section, it writes this: inclusion and diversity are pivotal elements in our community. We drive meaningful change by building, assessing, and evolving our goals for hiring and retention. And then tells you to learn more there, and has a link that you can click if you want to do that. In fact, the company notes that one of the services that it provides is measuring diversity on an ongoing basis to see how we are moving the needle. So that is something that they do indeed provide. It's possible that they provided this to Warner Brothers games for Mortal Kombat and their upcoming DLC. It also says interview panels. It also keeps interview panels diverse and trained. So you can see all of this on their website. Very similar to Sweet Baby Inc. and their values and what they want to do. Obviously, Sweet Baby Inc. does have like a narrative component. Didn't really see much of that on Lionbridge, but they obviously have a tool that tracks diversity and sees how they are moving it. So one would assume that that is something that they offer to their clients, such as Warner Brothers Games and NetherRealm Studios. Regardless of whether or not Sweet Baby Inc. or Lionbridge Games or whoever this consultancy is providing a service to Warner Brothers themselves have pushed this agenda. They do. They literally have a guy whose title is Chief Global Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer. His name is Asif Sadiq. Absolutely pushes some disgusting, evil stuff. We had this report from Newsbusters earlier this year. Sadiq was a panelist for an Aspen Institute webinar titled The Future of DEI in Corporate America. It was at the end of February. And during the panel, Design Observer Editor-in-Chief Ellen McGirt said this: "We came up with this strategy and I love it. It is find your people and ignore the person you cannot persuade. You know exactly who they are. And if you can't bring yourself to do it because of your professional orientation, give it 30 days, ignore them for 30 days. Don't take the bait. Don't send them the clip. Don't send them the newsletter. Don't send them the deck. Just focus on the people who are willing to do the work. The new arrivals to the work. The new leaders who are preparing, as we've talked about, to be better allies, to be more vulnerable, to communicate better, work preparing them. But absolutely do not get caught into that spin cycle of trying to persuade the most powerful person that you know who is not interested to be interested because they're not coming. 30 days, you can do it. So that was something that she suggested. And Sadiq reacted to this saying this. And if I can just add on to that point, because I think it's such an important point, even beyond leaders, there's always those few people who will never change. You will never convince them. You can try up until the end of eternity, and it will still not happen. We waste so much energy doing that sometimes as individuals, whether you're in a leadership position or in a team and so on. Focus on the ones who want to change, because that way you start changing culture. And if you change culture, often those people who don't come around will start saying this place isn't the way it used to be, and they'll leave themselves, which is great. That's exactly right. Sadiq is trying to get people who are opposed to this DEI nonsense, opposed to the woke agenda, to leave companies of their own free will, rather than actively firing them for opposing this absolute nonsense. And at the end of the day, evil, because it is evil. Woke ideology is evil. So he didn't stop sharing this tactic of pushing people out of the workplace. Newsbusters also reports he said this: I think this is a moment where people have to show up as actively being anti-racist. And that requires going a bit further than saying, that's not me, so I'm just going to sit back. That requires you using your power, privilege, and the positions you hold to try to create equity for marginalized groups, for historically marginalized groups, and groups who haven't had access. But that requires really stepping up. And it's showing up as well, showing up internally, showing up to even to the structures that DEI has put in place, whether it's business resource groups, employee resource groups, events. Showing up during this period of time for a leader is critical, because it shows that you care and you are willing to learn. So this guy is just an absolute racist. When you are promoting being anti-racist, you're really just saying that you are a racist. That's what it is. So this stuff is embedded at Warner Brothers. It's embedded at Warner Brothers Discovery. They've got a guy whose literal job is Chief Global Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer, and he is actively implementing strategies to remove people that are opposed to wokeness from the company. So regardless of whether or not Sweet Baby Inc. or Lionbridge Games or any other consultancy is advising Warner Brothers or NetherRealm to make these changes, at the end of the day, Warner Brothers themselves is indeed pushing a lot of this stuff. So it's coming from the top. It's not necessarily coming from the consultancy groups. And remember, obviously, they are hiring the consultancy groups. They wouldn't be hiring those consultancy groups if they didn't actually believe in it themselves. And that is indeed a lot of what these video game developers do. They do believe a lot of this stuff. And we're seeing this here from this guy, Sadiq. What's hilarious, though, is that this guy knows this stuff does not work. He knows it doesn't work. He made an appearance at Royal Russell School, Croydon, and he discussed diversity, equity, and inclusion departments and revealed companies in the United States spend over $8 billion on them. And he said this: every organization trying to drive change, trying to create a workplace that's more inclusive, a society that's more inclusive. In the US alone, $8 billion are spent on diversity training and many more billions globally to try and create that equity that everyone wants to see, feel in the workplace. Obviously, not everyone. I clearly don't want to see this stuff. I think it's evil, because it is. Nevertheless, he goes on and says that they are not successful. It's not driving the change that we want to see. We are not achieving the success that people want to feel in the workplace. He literally admits this stuff does not work. It doesn't work. They're spending billions and billions of dollars on something that they know does not work. He then explained why he believes these programs have failed and thus are a waste of $8 billion annually. He says, why is that? Well, I argue that very training is biased. It's built with stereotypes. It has assumptions. It's not always diverse or inclusive. And many times it does the very opposite of inclusion. So it's literally, you haven't tried. That's not how communism really works. We need to try it this way. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. That's just not how diversity and inclusion really is. It's such a joke. He admits it fails, but it's like it just didn't work. What a joke. I mean, seriously, but they're going to keep doubling down on this stuff because they think like they can continue. They think that they're going to find some way where this stuff isn't evil. And it is evil. It's always going to fail, just like communism is always going to fail, just like Marxism is always going to fail. No matter how many times you say like, oh, well, they just didn't implement it the right way. It is going to fail because at the end of the day, the stuff is evil and it doesn't work. No matter how many times you try it, it's still not going to work. It's like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole or whatever it is, whatever that idiom is, a circle into a square peg. Yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? You can't do it. It won't work. No matter how many times you shift it around, it just won't fit into that hole. But they're going to keep trying to push it into that hole because they want to brainwash people. They want to humiliate people. And at the end of the day, they want people to just be zombies like them. And we're not going to have it. Gamers aren't having it. They're showing that they don't like this Mortal Kombat 1. If you go to the Steam forums, you go to the X, you see people are like, what is even going on here? This is the end of Mortal Kombat. It's over. And it's hard to argue that. The data all shows that it does look like it's over. I mean, this game is performing at the same levels of Mortal Kombat 11, which came out over almost half a decade ago. I mean, this is really, really bad. And at the end of the day, it shows that gamers don't need to be playing new games. They can play older games and be completely satisfied with them. And that is exactly what Mark Kern, aka Grums, has said. 2 years to boycott all of these big AAA games. Teach these companies a lesson. I think they need to be taught the lesson over and over and over again. Obviously, you have people like Sadiq that work at these companies that doesn't matter how many lessons you teach them, how many billions of dollars you lose, they're going to keep doing it. But at the end of the day, you can protect yourself by not being exposed to this evil ideology as well. And that's, at the end of the day, that's why you should be boycotting these games. Obviously, we want better games, but at the end of the day, you need to protect yourself from this evil ideology. At least that's my opinion. But let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, especially to each other, but to always speak the truth.